But y'all went from selling concrete to selling admixtures. Intelligent Concrete, where innovation and sustainability meet technology. Howdy y'all, John Belkowitz here, Intelligent Concrete. We've got a Throwback Thursday. Had one of our clients call up, I think it was last week, end of last week, pretty exacerbated from the trials and tribulations that they had to deal with on a concrete job site. And, you know, from that conversation, I was talking to one of my mentors about, you know, the reality that no matter what concrete job site you go to or you're affiliated with or you're managing, there's always going to be a problem. And as long as you accept that and say, hey, there's going to be a problem, it's how we approach the problem and resolve it that makes us different from our competitors. As long as you recognize that, you can move forward confidently. So today what I wanted to do is a Throwback Thursday into, you know, something that has made concrete job sites just a little bit more difficult. Now, please bear in mind, for this Throwback Thursday, I mean no disrespect in if I'm talking about certain contractors or certain ready-mix providers. I never name names. I never talk about chemical names or admixture names or point fingers at specific projects. But, you know, bear in mind, we have to talk about what-if scenarios. So I'm going to be combining a bunch of projects into one scenario that I hope you can follow. You know, imagine you've got a fast-track pavement. You're in the middle of Houston, Texas. It's the dog days of summer, right? Traffic is heavy. People are going to, I don't know what you do in Houston, go to concerts, beaches, other beaches in Houston? I don't know. So whatever you do in Houston, the federal highway, which is fairly, let's just assume it's concrete, big concrete highway, you've got to replace a section of it. Unfortunately, it's got to happen in the wee hours of the morning to limit the time that you have on negative effects on traffic. So job site starts, let's say 10 p.m. at night, and you've got to rip and strip and replace concrete that it's ready to open to traffic by 6 a.m. So you have 8 hours to do this. So your first job is ripping and stripping out concrete, and as you rip and strip sections out, you're going to go 20-foot sections. You're going to have a second crew that will replace that concrete. So you got about 20 sections, and each section requires, let's say 30 sections. 30 sections, and each section requires its own truck. Often happens on the job site when it starts early in the morning, you have a very specific mix. A mix that has to deal with the cold, has to set up in a certain time, has to be open for a certain time to place it, and then screed it, and then finish it, and then Bob's your uncle, it sets up. And as you go down the line and the sun starts to rise and the temperature changes, that mix is going to have to change. So you're going to have to use different admixtures. So as it turns out, that's what this whole story is about. Back in the day when I first got into the industry, ding! There's a picture of me back in the day when I first got into the industry. Full head of hair, majestic. When folks used to call the dispatcher or a salesperson for the ready-mix provider, they used to say, hey, I need a quick patch mix, a fast-track pavement. I need it on Thursday. And the contractor would talk to whomever, dispatch or salesperson, say, hey, I need a fast-track pavement starting at 10 p.m. on the 28th. And I'm going to be going for 30 trucks. And I need to, from when I place the concrete, I need to open up that section of highway 4 hours after I place it. Each one of my placements, 4 hours, have to be able to open it up. So at the end of my job site, 4 hours later, I can open up the entire section of those 30 trucks, those 30 sections. So back in the day, that's what you would get. I need a specific type of performance. Well, I remember it was, I guess my second year, maybe it was my first year working for a ready-mix provider. I was in dispatch. You know, they wanted us to put some time working in that side of the office. You know, we were in a different building, and then there was the administrative, and I didn't hear that anymore. Instead of asking for a quick patch or fast-track pavement, I would hear, hey, let me get 1% of your calcium chloride accelerator, or hey, you know that mix, that wall mix you got? Can you add a little bit more of that high range to it? Maybe like 2 ounces per hundredweight? Or, man, I would love to have a little bit more air. Can you bump that air up? Back in around 2005, maybe 2004, 2005 time frame, ready mix providers, and again, I don't mean this to insult any of the ready mix providers, but y'all went from selling concrete to selling admixtures. And what happens is now, instead of being the manager of your domain and your arsenal of mixes, now it's almost like everything's boutique. Everything is custom. There's no repetition, there's no consistency. And what happens is that job site that should have gone swimmingly becomes much more of a hiccup. Because we don't have a consistent mix, because I just don't have a mix that I can use as 12-hour, 6-hour, 8-hour, or 4-hour, whatever it is, I have all these custom mixes. It's hard to go back on something that we've used over and over again. By the time I had left this company, let me change that. It wasn't the time I had left. This was like a year or so before I had left, but I had started a coding system, coding, for this company. And it was an alphanumeric system where you were able to distinguish the main properties of the mix based off of this 8 alphanumeric system that I designed. And this was throughout the Western U.S. business unit. So I think we had 20 plants, maybe more, that we were designing. This was a very generic coding system that had to be specific to the type of mixes that we had. I remember I went to work in this one section of the Western U.S. business unit. In the arsenal, there were over 2,000 mix names with 2,000 different mixes. Now, did they use all those mixes? Absolutely not. They only used about 20 mixes. But because they had become admixture salespeople, instead of selling concrete performance and concrete characteristics, now they had to make a new mix design in the computer to take into that ounce per hundredweight change of admixture. So, why watch this movie? This video? What is the payoff, the resolution? As the ready mix provider, it is your job to set the precedent. Precedents? I'm saying that wrong. Sorry, I'm not an English major. Set the precedents. If that's what you're doing, you can change your ways. You're not making any more money by doing that. As a matter of fact, you're confusing the process and you're losing money, and it's slower for your practitioners, your salespeople, to get the product sold out the door and get to the next client on the phone that's waiting. And if you're the contractors, know your place. You're not the admixture folks. You're the finishers. You're the placers. You're the ones who take the material from the truck and do magnificent things with it. Don't try to do things that you're not trained to do. The ready mix providers would never think of coming to the job site, pulling a bull float, and telling you to step aside. You wouldn't have that. The same goes for putting, hey, can you put 1%, maybe 2% non-chloride accelerator? You don't need to ask for that. You need to tell them, hey, it's a little bit cold out. Is there anything you could do to ensure that I'm going to be able to finish in 4 or 5 hours? I want to finish in 4 or 5 hours. I don't want to have to worry about cracking. Can you help me out? And when the sun rises, I'm going to give you a call and tell you, hey, the weather's changing, got the sun beating down on the concrete. Can you make sure that's taken care of too? Thanks a bunch. That's your job. You pay them to stress about the chemicals. You stress about what you have to stress about, and it's on the job site. 4:30 in the afternoon, that concrete has to be finished. Close up so you can head out the door. The biggest change, we've got in our videos is that we want there to be a payoff in the end while you're watching this shit. I don't want you to, there have been a number of videos, and I'm so sorry, that's why we're making the change, where folks are like, I just wasted 10 minutes of my time. What is the payoff? What type of dosage should I use? There's sometimes I can't tell you that. But in all the videos in the future, we're going to try to make sure that there is a payoff for you and you're getting something from each and every one of these videos. If it's not entertainment, it's learning something new that can help you on the job site tomorrow. All right. Thanks a bunch. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Ding that bell for notifications. Go Concrete!
Beat asphalt.